And viewers, let's move on to the top focus story here at Gulf today on NewsX World. Now, foreign ministers from several Arab countries are expressing concern over recent Israeli remarks suggesting that the Rafah crossing be opened only in direction to transfer Gaza residents into Egypt. In a joint statement, ministers from the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Jordan, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia and Qatar rejected any attempt to forcibly displace Palestinians and called for adherence to the peace plan proposed by Donald Trump, US President, which they said requires the Rafah crossing to remain open in both directions to ensure freedom of movement for Gaza's population. The statement also emphasized that the plan aims to allow Palestinians to remain on their land and participate in rebuilding their homeland while restoring stability and improving humanitarian conditions. Now, 8 Muslim majority countries have issued this statement jointly, warning that what they call was a potential forced displacement of Palestinians. It could pose as a potential forced displacement threat to Palestinians. Now, foreign ministers of Egypt, Indonesia, Jordan, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and UAE said in its statement expressing concern about Israeli statements regarding the opening of the crossing in a single direction that they said could aim at transferring Gaza residents to Egypt. The group also declared their absolute rejection of any attempts to expel the Palestinian people from their land. Now, viewers, remember the diplomatic pushback follows Israel's announcement that it would open the Rafah crossing from Gaza to Egypt in the coming days to allow residents to exit the Palestinian territory. Egypt, however, has immediately denied agreeing to any such agreement, and it insists the crossing must operate in both the directions. In fact, let's also tell you, viewers, the 8 nations have called for crossing to be opened bi-directionally in accordance with Trump's peace plan for the region. The ministers have said that they opposed compelling any resident of the Gaza Strip to leave, framing Israel's proposal as a violation of Palestinian rights to remain on their land. Egypt and Qatar, remember, have served as primary mediators in negotiations related to the Gaza conflict, giving opposition particular weight in regional diplomatic efforts. Now, reopening the Rafah crossing represents a key component of Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza, and it has long been sought by UN agencies and humanitarian organizations alike who are seeking to deliver aid and facilitate the civilian movement. The crossing has remained largely closed, creating severe restrictions on movement in and out of the besieged territory. In fact, despite the ceasefire in October took effect, as Israeli authorities have delayed implementing the crossing reopening. Officials there have cited Hamas's failure to return the bodies of all hostages, as well as the need for a proper coordination with authorities in Egypt before the proceedings. The Rafah crossing has emerged as a critical point of contention in post-ceasefire agreements. The border passage serves as Gaza's primary connection to Egypt and the world beyond Israeli-controlled crossings. Humanitarian groups as well have pressed for its reopening to alleviate the directions and the dire conditions facing Gaza's people. Another statement coming from the 8 nations have signaled growing regional concern that Israel's one-way proposal could facilitate permanent displacement of Palestinians rather than temporary humanitarian movement. It was on Wednesday when Israel had announced that it would open the Rafah crossing from Gaza to Egypt, and now a statement has come in from these 8 nations that I repeat, include Egypt, Indonesia, Jordan, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates. And joining me in this bulletin is Mr. Kapar Wasser of the Israeli Intelligence and Security Agency's expert. Thank you, Mr. Kapar Wasser, for joining us here at NewsX World. Appreciate you giving us time. Do you really view this proposal by Israel as a potential threat for permanent displacement of the Palestinians?
Not at all. Good morning. This is totally wrong to look at it as something that has to do with expelling the Palestinians from Gaza. It's what is at stake is the ability of Palestinians to leave Gaza if they need to for all kinds of reasons, and that's what Israel is allowing them to do. If there's no restriction on them coming back when they finish doing whatever they want to do outside of Gaza, and that's all the story. It's not about forcing anybody out of Gaza.
But what about the statement that has been issued from these 8 countries, and also the concerns that are coming from the humanitarian groups in providing aid to the region?
Well, I understand their concern. They are worried that this will lead to something like calling on the Palestinians to leave. That's not what we are up to. The Palestinians, most of the Palestinians live in the areas in this part of Gaza that is ruled by Hamas. And whether they leave or not is dependent on Hamas' decision. And we are not telling anybody to leave. And the same with the humanitarian aid. The humanitarian aid is flowing without any problem from our side. We are all worried about the fact that Hamas steals much of the humanitarian aid coming into the territories ruled by the organization, by this terror organization. But we allow the flow of aid inside Gaza without any interruption.
But why were the crossings not opened bi-directionally as was proposed by Trump's peace plan for the region?
We are not yet there. We are still at phase 1 of the agreement. In phase 1, the most important thing is bringing back the hostages. And fortunately, all the living hostages were released, and most of the bodies were brought back too. And we are still missing one body of a hostage, and we are waiting for that to happen. And then we should be able to move to stage 2 of the plan, in which one of the things that is going to happen is the opening of the Rafah crossing. For the time being, we open it only for those who really need to move out.
All right. Do stay on with us, Mr. Kapar Wasser. I also request your comments on another interesting development.